Welcome to Around the Weird. Here's your host, the museum curator of the strange and unusual, Mr. Nothing.
Thank you, mysterious voice, and welcome back to Around the Weird, a booktube channel where I talk about all the unusual and out of the ordinary literature that I found in my travels. Today it is Poetry Thursday, so I want to talk about some interesting poetry that I found recently. Today's poem is all about vocabulary and swear words. I am referring to Self-Portrait with Profanity by Safia Elhillo. For those who don't know, Safia Elhillo is a Sudanese-American writer who has been writing for the past 10 or so years. They've written a number of chapter books as well as regular books of poetry, getting published in literary journals as well. They seem to mostly write about identity and being an immigrant or being someone perceived as an immigrant or things like that in their work. In addition to doing regular written poetry, they also do spoken word. On Safia's website, there are a couple of videos that sort of highlight her poetry in the spoken word format. It's pretty good. I recommend that you check it out. But yeah, without further ado, let's talk about Self-Portrait with Profanity. I will do a summary, a little bit of analysis, and we will move on from there. Self-Portrait with Profanity. 99 names for my God, though I know none for my blank. A failing not of my deity, but of my Arabic. Not the language itself, rather the overeager mosaic I hoard, I steal, I borrow, from pop songs, and mine from childhood fluency. I guard my few swear words like tinkling silver anklets, spare and precious, and never early enough to muster a proper Arabic anger, proper Arabic vulgarity. Only a passing spar, always using the names of animals. I am not polite, I am only inarticulate. Overproud of my little arsenal, a stranger blows a wet tobacco kiss through the window of my taxi, and I deploy my meager weapons, dog, pig, donkey. And finally, my crown jewel, I pass my tongue across my teeth, crane my neck about the window, and call your mother's blank. So that was Self-Portrait with Profanity. In terms of analysis, there's a little bit worth talking about in this poem. In terms of narrative, it's just the author talking about, it's the narrator talking about how they don't have enough words, that they over rely on certain words, which are animal in nature, to sort of insult others, but they wish that they had, they could muster up a proper Arabic anger. Those cultures typically have very interesting words, ways of cursing at people that American culture could only possibly hope to achieve. But they just know, at the end of the poem, we see an example where it doesn't feel like it's enough for them. One of the obvious things worth noting is the Arabic nature of this, or not the Arabic nature, but the references to Safia's Arabic identity, where again she's wondering how close she is with that sort of aspect of her own identity, and she's never nearly enough to muster a proper Arabic anger, proper Arabic vulgarity, only a passing spar, always using the names of animals. Which is an interesting set of lines there. But I think that first and foremost gets at the idea, am I enough? If I can't pass, if I can't fit in with this aspect of Arabic culture, even if it does seem a little bit silly, being able to be angry and with a vocabulary of Arabic terms or something like that, it does seem kind of silly, but maybe that's an important part of connecting with her culture, that she doesn't doesn't feel that it's helpful, or if it if there's just something missing from it, like a deeper sort of connection. So part of the poem is definitely highlighting identity, but another part of the poem focuses on the sort of structure of it. Words are spaced out in the written version of this poem. I strongly urge you to look at the description, click on the link to the poem so you can see. I think it's meant to indicate like greater space, greater pause when speaking the poem out loud. But there's also blanks in the poem. You see this in the first verse where it says 99 names for my God, though I know none for my blank. And that's not me just deleting an expletive. It's literally like it's in brackets, there's nothing there. And I presume that's how you're supposed to read it. You're supposed to say blank. And you see that later in the poem as well, where they say, crane my neck about the window and call your mother's blank. And I think both of those are supposed to be terms for female anatomy. Like maybe your mother's ass, your mother's pussy, your mother's vagina, something like that, just to be vulgar and aggressive, and just highlight a greater offensiveness to the person that you're yelling at. So female anatomy right there is a part of the poem, sort of censoring it, maybe how American and maybe Arabic culture tries to censor womanhood in some ways. Maybe that's another thing that Elhillo is getting at in this poem. It's interesting in the first verse how she says, though I know none for my blank. Is that suggesting that maybe there's a lack of education there as well? I know some Arabic cultures don't really like to explain to women, their anatomy, and that's even true for American culture. We defund like sexual reproduction talks, sexual reproduction discussions in health class, and whatnot, or we just prevent that from being discussed at all. There's a lot of sort of forced talks about abstinence-only education, which does not necessarily work. It causes more pregnancy than the amount of sex that it necessarily stops. That's some of the aspect that I think is in the poem. So Safia's not necessarily going that deep, but I think that is there for discussions. The idea of holding swear words precious, which is what Safia is talking about in this poem. I do think that, we kind of treasure the words that we have, especially those for insulting others, for standing our ground. So I think that's another thing that Safia is getting at in this poem. Anyway, so those are my thoughts on Self-Portrait with Profanity by Safia Elhillo. A pretty solid poem, one that I'm going to definitely recommend that you go out and read. Look for a link to it in the description and let me know your thoughts. It's interesting, it says self-portrait, but someone's describing themselves through the use of swear words, of trying to stand their ground and maybe carve out a better niche for themselves. Maybe it's certainly one of the more unique poems that I've read lately. If you have any thoughts on this, let me know in the comments below. Otherwise, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe so that more people can find out about this poem or this poet or Poetry Thursday as I catalog more poems on this channel. And until then, I wish you the best of luck in your weird and profanity filled travels. Farewell.